So grateful to be here for the opportunity to stand in front of you. And initially, when I was preparing everything, I thought all the wise things and all the information and knowledge that I've learned over the last 20 years in the field that I work in, which is body work and massage therapy. And I threw that all out the window because this is a sharp group. There's nothing I'm going to tell you that you don't already know. I'm actually here for me. I was one of those kids that grew up and never felt like I belonged. And my talk tonight is on breaking patterns. The reason that's important to me is because some of the patterns that I've been in my life have been not serving me. It's not serving my higher self. And it started to it's affected me in every area of my life. I think that I've had a lot of angels watching over me throughout my career. The saying, fake it till you make it, that's kind of where I've been my whole life, until everything around me started to fall apart. My marriage, a lot of my relationships, family, and it took a lot. It wasn't me. A lot of help, a lot of support, a lot of love. But a 2-gram mushroom journey with my family, with my wife and my kids, that got me to see myself in an instant, in a flash. The majority of what I was seeing was all this self-sabotage and destruction that I'd been doing to myself. I've lived in fight or flight almost my whole life and never realized it until that night. And it was beautiful. I won't tell you the whole story. I'd love to share it with you any other time. But when I was looking in the mirror naked at 2 a.m. with my wife in bed sleeping, after I just had an incredible evening with my 2 sons and my 1 daughter at the time, my 1 little girl who was 1 year old, I just got this overwhelming feeling, and I could see all the self-sabotage in my thought patterns and the way I treated myself, how I've hurt myself in my life. And immediately it was like my soul, my higher self, popped out of my body and said, "That's what you did to me." And a release that I've never had in my life before of just tears. My whole body was soaked in tears. I'm crying in the mirror. But then my same higher self said, "Now what do you want to be?" And this was about 5 years ago. And that was hope for me. I can create I'm the architect of my life. I can create anything I want to create. How do I want to look? How do I want to be? How do I want to move? And a lot of how I think is in terms of how I care for my body. My dad died at 60, and there's a lot of disease in my family lineage, and I see the patterns there. And I know that by breaking those patterns, I can live better so that don't pass on those same things to my children. I'm a father. I've got 5 kids. They're incredible. They're my teachers. I'm healing. My parenting with my boys is healing my inner child of what I did. And my parents did the best they could. I was born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s and 90s, and it was just a different timeline, different frequency, and so it's nobody's fault. Everyone was doing the best they can, and everyone had their plan or their destiny or whatever. But at that moment, my wife woke up and she's like, "What are you doing?" And we had talked about it. She was supposed to eat the mushrooms too. It was supposed to be like a thing. She didn't eat them. And so I'm sitting in front of the TV with the kids, and I look over and I'm like, and she's like yawning, and I'm like, "Get over here." And she pulls them out of her pocket, and I said, "You're supposed to eat them." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "I'm really tired." And we had an emergency C-section with our that daughter, and so everything that goes along with that, the healing and the lack of sleep and all that. And in that moment, I said to her, "If you had one wish, what would it be?" And she said, "A full night's sleep." And I said, "Done." And she's like, "What?" And I said, "I'll take care of everything. I'll, I'll, I'll take care of the kids." She's like, "You're good?" I said, "I'm good." And at that time, I didn't have a lot of good trust with her, so that was it was a hard sell. But I was super dad that night. I was able to tap into the moment. I guess I am telling you the whole story. I had other plans, but at the time, I had a massage table in my house, in my kitchen, and I sat down with the boys. Well, I fed my daughter a bottle and put her to bed, and then we sat down with the boys, and I'm like, and in those frequencies, the plant medicines, I get really playful and almost like a child, and I want to go on an adventure or a hike or something or get into nature. And but it was nighttime and it was kind of cold outside, and I asked myself, to myself, my heart, what should we do? And immediately, and my boys they were a lot younger, hadn't had as much time to build that relationship with them. I met them when they were 8, 9 years old, so I turned off the TV, and my higher self said, "Put on some music." And then something said to me, it would be a real shame if my boys never got to feel me the way that I feel, the way that how my intention is when I work on someone. I want them to feel that same thing. Because I've worked on it before, just not, when someone comes into me, I create a whole, almost like a ceremony. It's real important to me. And, um, and so I put on some light music, I dimmed the lights, and I grabbed one of them and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna work on you." And he's like, "Okay, whatever," and lays on the table. And the other one's pretending like he's asleep, but he's watching the whole time. And I gave him the most incredible treatment. I was so tuned in. And then at the end, I was blessing him. Things were just coming to me, and I was blessing him. And he was crying, and I'm crying. And then he falls asleep, and I just pick him up, and I take him to bed. And then I come back downstairs, and the other one's like, pretend like he's asleep, and I get him up, the older one. And then same thing, I recreated a customized session for him that was just completely intuitive and blessing him with his, almost like my mindset was, if I died tomorrow, what would I want him to know? And it's like I'm healing myself through the relationship with my boys, because my relationship with my father was, it was tough growing up. And what a blessing. So grateful to be here. I have a quote that I think is really beautiful. I listen to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of books and stuff, and just research and stuff, because I know if I work harder on myself, I have to work less hard on what I do with everyone in my life. It's like I don't have to say anything. And I'd rather not. In fact, I don't really like to speak. One-on-one, I'm really good, super tapped in. But this is from, most of you probably heard of him. His name's Dr. Zach Bush. And I was listening to a podcast. I heard it a couple weeks ago, and it stuck with me. And then I had some news of a family member in Canada that's dying, and it really hit home. What have I come to believe that allows me to age in disease that I did not know then? Children at a very young age are taught that school is about get the grades so you get to the university, so you can get the job, so you can get the things, so you can get the family, so you can get the marriage, so you can get the children, etc. Where is it that the child is set and told, welcome to a world where you are alive. You have a driving force inside of you from an original design of a temple that now vibrates of light frequency, and your purpose is to be really freaking curious. Out of that curiosity, you will find your divine right to create. How amazing would that be to born into the world with that perspective? A lot of us, because when we're older, we weren't born into that, and the lies and the deception and the control of society and religion and all the constructs that make up what we live in. And that's where I get to turn that around, break that pattern. How do you break patterns? By doing something different, making a different choice. After my dad died, I started doing some breath work, and I started getting in cold rivers and taking people in cold rivers, and because it was helping me. And it was just one thing. Like, I had all these things I wanted to change, and grow and heal and be better and shine my light brighter and love better and help better and serve better. And it just was really overwhelming in the beginning, but it's one thing at a time. And you build some momentum on that. It started with the ice baths, and it turned into meditation. I've been doing yoga, and that's been a huge game changer for me. But getting uncomfortable, things like this, just breaks patterns. I run from these things. I've been asked to speak several times, podcasts, and I always find some way to get out of it. But anyway, I'm just super grateful to be here and the opportunity. I love all of you, and I'm so grateful that you all showed up for me. That really means a lot. It's one thing that is really cool about this is building a tribe. Um, I not growing up and not feeling like I just felt like I felt like I was broken, like there's something wrong with me. And anyway, yeah, thank you so much.